Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Chris coming at you from the channel I Am Toys. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, if you browse through the channel, you can kind of see that I mainly do custom reviews, a lot of horror stuff, over the past, I would say probably several years now, maybe at this point. But used to do mainstream Hot Toys reviews, stuff like that, mainly 1/6 scale, but every once in a while do some other stuff, some busts, throw in some other obscure videos just about things in the hobby or stuff that I'm thinking about, but mainly customs nowadays. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then for those of you returning, let's basically get into it, man. So this is another figure, of course, by Once Customs. This is a new Part 7. This is a new formula. Everybody has been waiting for this run to some extent, from somewhere between the range of anywhere from 2 to 5 years, depending on when you essentially kind of jumped in, to try and get one of these. There are a few that have already been released, using the new formula, and they are also following kind of the same line. This would, I guess, be technically the most recent, I guess, but that might not be accurate because a friend of mine is about to get his soon, so that one may be, technically is the most recent, but this is relatively recent, right? So other than trying to babble on and whatnot, we're just going to get into the review. I mean, obviously, Jason fans, this is Friday the 13th, Part 7. This is New Blood. This is the Dio that is made by Distress Labs. So this is not all Once Customs. So this is also by another artist. And we'll get into that. We'll show you everything. But as you can see, just looking, at this, comes with a decent amount of stuff, right? But obviously we'll go through everything, you know what I mean? We're gonna, show you the fire light up feature. We're gonna show you the head sculpt. We're gonna show you the sleeping bag, the weapons, take the mask off, show you the figure itself. I'm gonna show you everything, folks, everything. And then I mentioned, I'll show you the figure too. But you see back here too, you've also got the tree trunks, or, the trees, for the classic sleeping bag kill. And we'll get into everything, you know what I mean? Obviously doing a review on this fig too, we got to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the hobby. I'm not going to let that completely fall beside. I can't do a review of a Once piece and not talk about some of that stuff, you know what I mean? I'd be doing the hobby a disservice, you know what I mean? I can't do a review on a Once piece and not discuss some of the other things that are going on. So I'm also going to show you the light up feature now. A little switch right here, and I'll show you the zoom up on that when we actually get into the review of the figure as well. And but I'm just going to turn it on now, so then that way when we actually get into the video, it's already up, you can see it, and we'll basically go from there, guys. You're gonna love this thing. You're gonna love it. So we'll start with the campfire. So again, this is all done by Distress Labs. You had a little campfire scene in there. We were talking about this scene, the sleeping bag kill, and there's not really much you can, add, you know what I mean? It's like the trees, some debris, some grass, or leaves, and that's really it, right? Like, Once did the bag, he threw in the weapon, good blood work on that. That scene was great too, because apparently it was supposed to be even more brutal, but the MPAA, I think they had to submit it like 5 or 6 times, and they ended up having to cut a lot of that out. I think he hit the tree like 6 times or some shit, and they had to dwindle it down to 1, basically. So, it's supposed to be a little more grueling. Awesome head sculpt. This is based on the scene where she splits the mask off. She has it tightening on his face, and it just rips off, and he's snarling, at her. The shoes on this, the boots, and you're also getting a good look at, some of the debris and the leaves, down by the feet. Distress Labs did a good job on that. Great attention to, again, just patting the floor, you know what I mean? The boots seem a little bit different from the previous runs. I could be wrong, but pants are fucking fantastic. The exposures on everything, the bone, the degradation of the skin, dude, the details, you can tell everything has been touched, you know what I mean? The clothes are distressed, weathered, again, the cuts in the shirt, you get the nails from the end scene when he gets smashed with those, awesome fucking, sculpt. And I love it because this scene, like right here, it reminds me of that puffy, upper build that he's got, man. Just so good. Kane Hodder had such a great build for this, man. Like, you know, it like with the prosthetics, everything that was applied, the special effects. You know, what's his name? I think Carl. I think it's Carl Buechler or something. He's the guy who did the special effects makeup, you know, for Kane Hodder on this in Part 7, and you know, he did a great job, man. I mean, all the decay, the degradation, fucking everything, man. You can really tell that they took their time. You know what I mean? And, you know, Kane Hodder just, man, he's always had the perfect build, man. I mean, CJ Graham was fucking amazing too. And I almost feel kind of bad because I think he was all set to reprise the role in this one. And unfortunately, I get, you know, Kane Hodder got it. You know, the director of the movie, you know, apparently really liked, I think his audition or however, you know, they were introduced to him, and ended up picking up Kane Hodder for this, and this was Kane's entry into Friday the 13th for the first time, and led to him fucking pretty much taking the mantle for quite some damn time. And I know CJ Graham had to have probably felt, you know, some kind of way about that, you know, kind of getting ixnayed on that, you know, because who knows, man. I mean, CJ could have been Kane Hodder, you know, he could have had those roles. I mean, CJ was a big dude. He's ex-military, man. He was really fantastic for his portion of that film, but, you know, it is what it is. So like I was saying, you know, I was talking to Distress Labs, you know, Paul about, you know, obviously it's limited what you can add, right? Like I like the backdrop. He was kind of, you know, debating whether or not he wants to keep including backdrops, change it up. I mean, I like it in this. I like it with the hitchhiker figure they did, you know, too as well. Only other thing I probably would do, like, you know, maybe, and I forgot to mention this to Paul, would be, you know, instead of the backdrop, maybe just going full on with the trees, right? Like you already got the sleeping bag, you know, trees, you know, so why not just throw maybe some more trees in the background and actually have branches and leaves and shit, you know, behind it? That might have been pretty cool. I probably would have gone with that if there was a decision point, you know, somewhere there. But I'm going to show you guys. Let's just jump into it and get into him with the mask off. So here we go with the mask off. You know, obviously Ones is trying to hit, you know, this level of kind of detail on this scene here. Just all around, this is One's calling card, man, is the Part 7. You know, everybody knows that. And the melting skin, you know, the coagulated blood around the belly button, you know, the exposures around the ribs, dude. The skin's just falling off. You know, he's supposed to be degraded, decaying, you know, and Ones does it, man. And, you know, there are other artists that are also perfecting their recipe on these new bloods. I know Ones is definitely motivating them to also, you know, do that, you know, essentially, right? You know, competition breeds better products. You know, Galactables is perfecting his recipe. Beta Metalli's got his run coming. Man, it's just a good time to be in the hobby, you know what I mean? But man, I love it that the trees are included in this. Not many people realize that it's actually the small tree that he's hitting the body up against, not the bigger one. You actually, if those who disagree, rewatch the movie, you know, you'll see. It's funny, I had some folks reach out to me after I posted this pic that are on the beta run, and they're all like, oh my God, I'm worried about this run now, you know, it's not going to be as weathered as this one piece that I saw you post. And I'm like, dude, relax, man. You know, it's like everybody has their own interpretation of this figure. You're going to get a good piece. You know, Beta's going to do a great job on his. Galactables, you know, whatever artist is putting this out, people are going to be happy, man. You know, don't run around and go sell your pieces now. You know, oh my God, it's a fire sale. I got to sell Betos, or I got to sell this one, you know, because fucking, you know, this one's going to be better. You know, it's just enjoy your pieces, guys. Just stay on the runs. You know, don't lose your minds. So let's have this guy spin around next. So here we go, guys. We're going to get some looks and you know, turn them around, and you're going to get to see the back of this figure, which is also impressive as well, because you're going to see the shoulder blades, you know, the exposure points that have been that are also exist on the back, you know, too as well, which is again pretty accurate to the movie. I wasn't able to pull some scenes, you know, to show you kind of the aspects of that, to kind of show you the comparisons, but you guys get it, man. You know, those of you who are Friday the 13th fans, man, you can go watch it and, you know, figure it out, right? You can figure it out for yourselves. You know, this movie was awesome, dude. I mean, it's fucking basically Jason versus Carrie, you know, essentially. Like, it's pretty funny, man. You know, they couldn't rip it off and use the name Carrie, but, you know, that's what Tina is supposed to be to some degree. You know, she's a version of Carrie with all her telekinetic abilities and all that good stuff, man. You know, she gave Jason a run for his money, man. You know, she definitely did. But as you guys are, you know, watching this go around, you know, again, very happy with the end product of this, man. Just, he delivered, man. He really did. And as far as, I'd promised that I would talk about this, a little bit. I can't review, new Once piece, when I know there's a lot of, always seems like there's a lot of drama out there. Everybody's always, talking about, the delays in pieces and, why does Ones take so long? And I know people have seen, some of the other stuff, there's chatter about legal things that are going on behind the scenes and everything, and that's their business. You know what I mean? Those things are going down. The people that are involved, and I know people who are in the groups, and it's kind of a small world. Things travel fast, and those things are going to get worked out one way or the other, right? It's not our business, and what's going on, and within that context of we'll say event, it's going to unfold how it's going to unfold. You know what I mean? And Ones has said this, and I know a lot of people get pissed, and he said this over and over again. That he is trying to do better, and I know everybody's always going to say, he's been saying that for years, and I think even he knows that. He would even joke around and also say, yeah, I know, I keep saying I'm going to be better with the runs, I'm going to get things out faster, and it never seems to happen, right? But it's all right though, man. I mean, I don't want to say it's all right. I mean, there are people that are fucking pretty pissed, you know what I mean? But ultimately you are going to get what you are owed to, at least I would hope, right? And look, even I'm still owed pieces, you know what I mean? I have a Jason Goes to Hell that's fully paid off. I haven't received it yet. I'm waiting on that. Let me take this mask off for you guys. You guys can see, this thing spin with that as well, just to add some variety. But yeah, I'm still owed pieces, man. My Jason Goes to Hell is fully paid up. I still, he owes me a grinner, and I'm waiting on that. I still owe $1,000 on that, and once that's done, I'll pay that off. And I've been waiting years, man. Like this isn't a figure that I suddenly got within 6 months or something, or within 3 months of asking for it. I've been on this New Blood run for probably 2 or 3, 4 years or something like that. It's kind of taken that long to come to fruition, I guess. Maybe it's been that long, or maybe it's been a little shorter. I don't know, man. Time feels fucking relative in this hobby, man. But the grinner is going on probably 4 years, somewhere around there. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, we're all there. I'm there with you guys too, man. I'm waiting on pieces. I mean, this is always this is the nature of the beast in the custom hobby. And I know folks would be like, well, when it comes to Ones, or even Beto or other people, because people complain, about every artist, when it comes to weights. We hear it about Beto, we hear it about Ones, we hear it about other artists as well. And each artist has their own reasoning, for what it is. And it's not my position to have to defend any of that. I'm not their secretary, administrator. It is what it is, So I don't know, just wanted to mention that. Trust me, I get it, guys. I know people see Ones making and selling stuff in between, but, other artists do the same thing. People got to eat, to some degree, but like, I get it. I get it. There are things that have rubbed people the wrong way, and it's worth mentioning, you know what I mean? And because I didn't really get to show you guys, the backdrop for this, I want to show Distress Labs, actually show the graphic, background that he gave you. So, here it is, swipe up and down so you can see it. Yeah, is it in focus? Yeah, is it in focus? I hope it is. And there you go. And you get to see the whole thing. So, I like it. Like I said, maybe some trees too would have been cool as well. But either way, I'm happy with the dio. It fits the bill. So it's time to close out the video. And like I said, I would make some mention, of some of the stuff. There's lots of people in the hobby and the groups, and I see what's going on, and, they would probably expect, somebody to say something, right? If we're going to be reviewing some of these pieces, I feel like you got to make mention of it, you know what I mean? Because there are people waiting and whatnot. You don't want, I don't know. I think I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't at least, acknowledge that we're all waiting, and, people can be upset, and that's, unfortunately, this is where we are, you know what I mean? But I know Ones is trying to do his thing. He's trying to get stuff out. So, just we're all on the way together, you know what I mean? And if Ones, if you're watching, you do still have to give me my bust. Yeah, he did accidentally forget to send me my bust. So I do need that. Hopefully that comes pretty soon. And I hope I get my grinner and my Jason Goes to Hell. Hopefully first quarter of 2026, we'll see. And also, I've had to complain about one thing on the figure. I know, like I said, I'm super happy with it, man. Great job. Ones really came through. I can't stress that enough. But some extra hands would have been good, because the long weapon, it's going to look kind of weird. You know, I can hold it with the right, but then his hand is open with the left. You know, it looks kind of weird, him holding it. I mean, you could still finagle a pose out of it, but a second closed grip hand would have been good, or like an open hand with the fingers kind of curled or something. You know what I mean? To kind of pull off a combination of different poses, you know. But overall, man, that's it, guys. I hope you guys liked the video. You know, anybody else on this run, you know, who's waiting for part 7 from ones, you're probably going to be super happy. So we'll see you guys at the next video, guys. Peace. Deuces.